33 parties on the ballot paper when they take to the polls come May. Now, the Electoral Commission of South Africa recently announced that it had already received 47 political party applications, bringing the total of registered national political parties ahead of these elections to 285. The IEC also said earlier this year that it was processing a further 37 new applications, putting the number of new parties at 84. Well, to discuss this further, we're joined by leadership expert, that's Dr Mazwe Majola. Thank you, Doctor, for your time on the SABC News Desk. Always a pleasure to have you sitting with me on a weekend.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Doc, so many new political parties on the scene right now. Of course, on the one hand, it is the sign of a robust democracy at play. But what will be the longer-term impact of these newer parties on the current political landscape going forward?
Well, it's good. It shows the growth and maturity of democracy in South Africa. So you can see that people have realized that now, in order to speak for people, you've got to go to Parliament. And it gives the electorate a huge menu, a feast to choose from. So you've got the tried and tested, the old political parties who are already in Parliament, your ANC, DA, EFF, COP, UDM and others. And we've got the new one who want to prove themselves, who say, give us a chance, give us an opportunity. We want to show you what we can do for you. So South Africans really now, they're in a stage where it will be very difficult to choose from. So they'll have to pick and choose and see which one I can vote for. This it's not like before where you know that this particular party will win. This year it's very tight.
It feels almost like for the first time since democracy we have a really discerning electorate that knows what it wants. But you and I have sat through a number of manifesto launches this year in the run-up to the polls come May 8th. Do you feel that any of the manifestos that have come through thus far, that there has been anything unique, anything different on offer to the electorate than previous years?
Yeah, just before manifestos, as you are talking about really the number of political parties, in 1999 we had 16 registered political parties. In 2004 there were about 21 political parties. In 2009, there were 27. And 4 years ago, in 2014, there were 29 political parties registered. And this year, they've escalated to about 47, 48. So you can see really the interest of people wanting to make a mark. With manifestos, you know, as you correctly put it, we've really analyzed so many political parties' manifestos. I wonder how many, and I don't want to doubt the ability of people in terms of searching and analyzing and reading. But I wonder how many people out there, the masses, who are really going to be looking at manifestos and say, okay, the ANC manifesto says this. I want to look at what the DA in respect of this area and choose from EFF. I think it will be the battle of leadership here. And I've been arguing that the charisma of leaders, the inspiration of leaders, you know,
which will be the defining element.
Defining moment, that those leaders who will be able to translate what is in the paper to people, the articulation, the communication style, the level of talking to people, how leaders will reach out to people, will they appeal, will they attract, will be attractive. You know, I think that will be the battle for me rather than the manifesto. Manifestos are important, but now the leaders will have to tell people those manifestos, they will have to communicate those manifestos to people. So really the charismatic leadership and inspiration leadership is going to be the key here in terms of communicating and articulating those policies.
Are you seeing evidence of that caliber of political leadership in the country right now, or perhaps pockets of excellence?
Well, yeah, they are. I mean, they are. Cyril Ramaphosa obviously is very good in communicating.
Yes.
Julius Malema is very good in communicating.
Yes.
Your DA leader Musi as well is very
Powerful
good.
orator.
Exact powerful orator. Now you'll find those political leaders who come as a radical. Of course, yes, the question will be, which market are they trying to target? You know, the BLF style of radicalism, you know, the way they talk, whether are they going to attract or are they going to scare the voters? So it's going to be really come down to the leadership in terms of, because people when they're sitting, they want to hear the leader. The leader must communicate. The leader must say what we are going to do, how we are going to do it. And I always say, even for executive, when I talk to executive leaders, corporates, that even at corporates, people leave managers. This is very important. People leave managers or people leave leaders. They don't leave organizations. In other words, that's how important a leader is on behalf of any organization, because people follow leaders. I know that there is this debate nowadays whether Cyril Ramaphosa saying it's more popular than the organization. Of course, as people, they follow. That is why in 2014, those people who did not vote for ANC, it was not because of ANC, it was because of the former President Jacob Zuma. So leadership becomes very important.
All right. Just on the note of the president right now, we've heard him speak out against civil servants, among them some political leaders who loot and use public resources for personal gain. Now, how do you think the new administration will address public sector corruption, which we know has spread across the state, including provincial governments and our key public institutions? Because it's a tough one right now.
That will be a key, because even now, as they're campaigning against corruption, graft, malfeasance. So the question is, the new administration will have the will and the courage to really stamp down and to tackle the issue of corruption. And people, they are looking, because corruption is so deep and wide, and it's so broad, you know, it's so widespread. So people, they really want to see and want to follow the organization and the leaders whom they know that will stamp down the corruption and graft.
We also heard President Ramaphosa reiterate calls for unity within the ruling party, within the African National Congress. But one wonders, how is he going to balance now the need to maintain unity within the ANC that's so crucially needed, and then he must go and install a new cabinet which can instill confidence in local South Africans and abroad when it comes to local and foreign investors at that?
Yeah, for Cyril Ramaphosa, really is between the rock and hard places. You know, it's very unfortunate for him, because he's genuine. You can see his sincerity, or you can feel his sincerity in terms of trying to unite the organization. But the faction
will is indeed there.
The will is there, of course, but the faction is so deep within the ANC, you know, and unfortunately he preaches one thing, and then his comrades are doing one thing. So he has to all the time correct and all the time try to manage this thing, because they're not in sync. The word and the deed is not in sync. So now it really tarnishes his image as a leader, because people, they've got, you can see that people, they are following him, and they can see that something different is coming and something new and fresh is coming. But now within the organization, they do something different than what he's preaching.
Yes, and we've covered elections together, Doctor, and there's always that honeymoon period where everybody's so optimistic, locals and investors alike. But can our new president keep the momentum going until the national elections, but then he also has to lay the groundwork in terms of policy for a new economic trajectory for the country, which will address those evils of poverty, unemployment and inequality.
Yeah. The paradox that he's facing with is that, as we were talking about unity just now, he has to make sure that he keeps the ANC together, preaches the unity, and try to galvanize the branches and the structures of the ANC to vote with one voice. But that unity must not translate to uniformity, and it must not translate to conformity. While he's doing that, he must also win the general electorate, people who are not the members of the ANC. In 2014, the ANC had about 12 million people, 11 million people or so voting for ANC, 62%. So those people are not all of them the members of the ANC. So you must make sure that you gain those people to follow him.
Dr. Mazwe Majola, always a great pleasure chatting to you. Do come back again. Maybe I'll see you next weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Do have a fantastic Saturday.
Thank you.
Well, that was Dr. Mazwe Majola joining us at the SABC studios in Auckland Park. Let's move on now.